energize your workplace. Mike's here for some serious fun.
Hey everyone, Michael Kerr here from Inspiring Workplaces. I have a special guest with me today, Jennifer Barnes. Jennifer, thank you for joining me. Can you introduce yourself very quickly? Where are you today calling in from, and what is it that you do?
Yeah. Hi there, Jennifer Barnes. We are in San Diego, California. It is a beautiful day out right now. And I am the CEO and founder of Optima Office. We provide fractional CFOs, outsourced accounting, and human resource experts to roughly 300 local businesses. And we have about 100 W-2 employees at this point in time. So I'm loving life. Things are good.
And you're in one of the most beautiful cities with one of the best climates around, San Diego. I love San Diego. So you recently wrote a piece about the importance of stay interviews, right? So what's your definition of a stay interview?
Do you want to stay here?
Do you want to stay? Yeah, gee, that makes a lot of sense. Do you want to hang around? Do you want to stay? Do you actually want to stay here? Okay, and I love talking about this topic because I think they're so important too. What do you think of exit interviews? A lot of companies do exit interviews, right?
I really like them, to be quite honest. People are depending on why they're leaving, they might be brutally honest, or they might be really nice and they don't want to burn a bridge and they want to just give positive feedback. I run an accounting firm, so everyone's fairly introverted and we don't always get a lot of real-time feedback.
Right.
That's not to say we don't have extroverted people on the team, but generally speaking, accountants are known for, getting their work done and doing a great job and crunching the numbers and whatnot. So it's nice to get that feedback from people that sometimes is a surprise and sometimes is just something that we already knew.
Right. The challenge, I suppose, and I will say this very often, is that one of the big problems with exit interviews, of course, is it's too late. Right? They've left. So you mentioned the importance of getting feedback. Is that obviously that's one of the primary reasons to do stay interviews?
One person that left, we had hoped she wasn't going to leave, but she did, and we have a great relationship. She says, one of the managers on my team, one of the managers that I work with was X, Y, and Z. And this is something she never would have said. Even with a stay interview, she might not have said it. She might have felt weird to let us know. So the feedback that she gave us was very helpful for future coaching and conversations with this person.
Right.
But I don't know as often as we have tried to get feedback that we might not have received that specific feedback.
Right. Okay. So what do you suggest for companies in terms of doing stay interviews? Do you recommend a certain time interval? Like should I, if I'm a manager of a team, should I be doing these once a year? Should I be doing them more frequently than that?
It depends. I would say more than once a year for sure. If you're managing somebody, you should be meeting with them monthly and maybe even weekly, depending on how close you are managing them. I have 3 high-level executives on my team that I meet with weekly. And it might only be like a 30-minute touch base. It might be a whole hour, but we set aside that time so that we can really touch base and catch up on what each other are up to and what we need and how I can support him and vice versa, he or her. So I find that depending on how closely you work with somebody and how many people you manage, you should do it regularly. Now, if you manage 50 people, oh God, hopefully nobody's managing 50 people, but if you are, then, meeting with them monthly is even challenging at best, right? So you have to pick and choose on who you meet with and how often, but no less than once a quarter if you are truly managing and working closely with somebody. Me as a CEO of the firm with 100 people, I certainly couldn't meet with 100 people monthly. That would be virtually impossible.
Right.
Be like all I was doing. But I would say that I take the pulse as often as I can. So if I'm interacting with somebody because of a client that we just put them on, or resources that they might need, or because I want them to take a training or something that came up and I wanted to reach out to them, then I might not do a take the pulse or stay interview with them for another 6 months or so. But if
Okay.
it's somebody that I really haven't talked to, maybe it's a bookkeeper on our team that joined us 5 or 6 months ago, and it's not my job necessarily. I have team members and managers that do those types of follow-up interviews and meetings. But I think me as the leader of the organization, I should just take the pulse. How's it going here? What can I do to help you? Tell me about your favorite client. Tell me about your least favorite client. What are some of the things that you're really loving at this role right now? Do you love consulting? Do you like, instead of not going to the same place every single day, 8 to 5, do you like going to 4 or 5 or 6 different clients' offices, or working a little bit remotely and learning different software? So interestingly enough, I get a lot of great feedback and things that are very beneficial to the organization at large.
Right.
Sometimes I hear things and I'm like, oh my gosh, I hadn't even thought of that. Wow, what a great idea. Let's do it.
Yeah, it's amazing what happens when you actually talk to employees and
Yeah,
listen to their ideas, right? You sometimes get some good ideas that will help the business.
yeah, 100%.
Yeah, and I love the phrase taking the pulse, right? Because that's what I think leaders need to do, is they always need to be taking the pulse. What are people thinking? How are they feeling about work? You've got to be in touch with what people are thinking, right? And ideally, I suppose, you want to be in a situation where there shouldn't be any surprises, where you aren't shocked that an employee has been disgruntled for the last 6 months or year and is thinking about leaving. If you have your finger on the pulse, hopefully you're going to be aware of those issues before they fester.
Yeah, I think it's not always just about the feedback and the actionable insights that we as managers and leaders might gain from that conversation. I think it really makes people feel important and heard.
Absolutely.
The high retention is super important to me. So I'm listening. I care. Thank you for being here. Thank you for such a good job. And it's really also about our feedback to them and how it makes them feel.
Yeah, I think that's one of the most important things leaders can do to increase engagement scores, to make people feel like they belong, is to just check in with them in a genuine way. Now, when we talk about asking for feedback, though, the idea of employees giving us honest, open feedback is predicated on the notion that they trust us, right? So we have to build a culture of trust,
Yeah.
I think, right? If people are going to be honest with us. So is there anything you do intentionally to make sure people feel psychologically safe to speak up, to make sure they feel that there's trust at work so they can speak their mind without any fear?
Yeah, I think what's really helpful we do at staff meetings is we do kudos to each other. So, hey, can anybody give me an example of someone in this room who has done a great job, or something they've done um, to highlight an activity or whatnot? And then B, we also ask for ideas, and we have an anonymous feedback tool that people can tap into. So we say, does anybody have any ideas or feedback or questions or anything um, that we can share with the rest of the group? And again, that time it's sometimes a little quiet. People don't want to speak up in front of a room of a lot of people. But I think it's also important to empower them and to let them know that they're not going to get shamed or in trouble. And we'll give examples of other people that have come to me with something and that I've supported them. It's not about the revenue. Sometimes it's not about the clients, and it's how are the clients making our team feel? What's going on? And we want you to speak up. We want to do the right thing. We want to help our clients. We generally support you, and so we'll give examples of times that we've really backed our team, and so then they see, oh, it is safe. They will support me.
I love that, Jennifer. That's so important, right? Giving examples, showing that, this is how we do things. This is our norm here, and you don't have any fear in terms of speaking up. I love that. So are there any specific questions? You mentioned a bunch of questions earlier on that you might ask your employees, but are there any other specific questions that you think of as really, really great questions to ask employees when you're doing these stay interviews or check-in interviews that you think are really powerful to ask?
I think it's important to ask about your coworkers as well. So, is there anything that anyone's done on the team that has been really helpful? Is there anybody that's holding you up? Do you have any bottlenecks? Um, this is a completely confidential conversation, but is anybody not performing at a level that you think they should? Is there something we should know about? Is there any trainings or coaching that anybody on the team that you work with needs? And so kind of direct a little bit of about the other people on the team.
Okay. Yeah.
And I find that I do get a lot of insights from our team about their coworkers, their bosses, the people below them, and and oftentimes if I hear it from one person, then I will go and ask all of the managers, or let's say it's an accounting manager that's giving me the feedback. And they say this controller is not helpful. They're not teaching me this accounting software. I'm having a hard time. Then I'm gonna say, oh, okay, got it. I'll go to all the other accounting managers and staff people that that person works with and say, hey, we heard some feedback recently, and we just wanted to make sure that it wasn't just a one-off. Like, how are you feeling about this person? So then it opens up, I don't necessarily say floodgate doors, but it opens up the conversation to learn a lot more about somebody who may not be performing. But then on the flip side, we also get really positive feedback. Oh my God, this person's amazing. We're so
Right.
happy. I love working with this coworker. And so then we have a platform called Bonusly, and it's an online bonus system that colleagues can give out to one another. And so then if I hear something positive, I'll go on to Bonusly and I'll say, I really appreciate all the hard work. One of your coworkers recently said some positive things about you, and I love hearing that. So then we use it to reward and incentivize others.
Oh, that's fabulous, right? And
Yeah.
it makes it so easy for people to do it when you have an app like that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. And I would think that if you're asking people for the less positive feedback, say about a coworker, that I imagine it's presented in a way that's constructive, right? You want to help this employee as opposed to, so you're not making employees feel like they're tattling on a coworker, right? Or getting somebody in trouble.
That's always hard. Sometimes though, people
Yeah.
are really apt to speak up. Oh my God, this person is so
Yeah.
bad and I can't stand them and I don't want to work with them anymore and blah blah blah. I'm like, oh gosh, okay, well, let's see what we can do about that.
Right.
I don't
Yeah.
want people working together that don't want to work together. I
For
mean, we have a
sure,
lot of
right? For
options here.
sure. And we need to raise these issues, right? It doesn't do anyone any service to hide these issues, right? To sweep them under the rug. If you're going to build a rocking great workplace and business, then open and honest communication is everything.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you, Jennifer. Do you want to tell us your company before we say goodbye? Again, just give a little plug for your company.
Sure. Yeah, if anybody needs a fractional CFO or outsourced accounting, human resource services, we are one of the best firms out there. We're kind and caring and work with every type of business, from small to large and not for profits, making sure they have good accounting systems in place and good financials, and also that from an HR standpoint, they've less risk and and happier people.
Awesome. And happier people. That's a great note to end on. I love happy
Okay.
people. That's what I'm all about. That's what we're all about here at Inspiring Workplaces. Thank you
Yep.
so much, Jennifer, for your insights, stay interviews, checking in interviews, conversations with your employees. So important when it comes to building a more inspiring workplace. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Jennifer.
You're welcome. Have a good night.